He is responsible for providing economic analysis and advice to the senior management team and interpreting economic trends and their impact on business. His responsibilities also include all marketing and industry research activities. Before joining BDC, he worked for the government of Saudi Arabia, that's very interesting, as Vice President of Business Analysis in the National Industries Clusters Development Program. His role was to create program strategies, define sector policies, and conduct financial and economic analysis of industrial projects. Prior to that, Mr. Cleroux was the Quebec Assistant Deputy Minister for Economic Development, Innovation, and Export Trade. He was also a strategic advisor for Montreal International, responsible for attracting foreign investment from India and the Middle East. He also worked for 12 years at the Canadian Federation of Independent Business in various roles, including Economist and Quebec VP. He holds a Bachelor of Arts and a Master's degree in Economics from the University of Laval and an MBA from MIT Sloan School of Management. Without further ado, Mr. Pierre Cleroux.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your introduction. I'm very happy to be here today in the context of Small Business Week. Small Business Week is a great opportunity to celebrate entrepreneurship, and that's what we did just before lunch. What a great story. So congratulations again for your great turnaround. I think it's a great story. Maybe we should applaud you one more time. It's also, Small Business Week is also a great opportunity to reflect on issues that are affecting small business. And this is what I want to do now. We just released, at the beginning of the week, BDC, a new report on strategies that the most successful firm in Canada has in common. We also look at pitfalls to avoid. The report is called the 5 Do's and 5 Don'ts of Successful Business. You can find the full report on our website at bdc.ca. Today, what I would like to do is to talk briefly about the 5 Do's and the 5 Don'ts of successful business. So first, let's start with the 5 Do's. What we did, we surveyed more than 1,200 businesses across the country. And we put them in 2 different groups. The first group was the most successful one in terms of profit growth and revenue growth. And we have identified 5 common strategies that these most successful firms are using to be more successful. Those strategies, the number 1 is innovation. I know it's not a new thing for you, but innovation still matters today. 25 years ago, John Baldwin from Statistic Canada had identified innovation as one of the most key factors of success. 25 years later, our research is showing that innovation is still a key factor for success. The most successful firm offer new products and new services more often to the market than the other firms. Actually, in our sample, 20% of products and services offered by these firms didn't exist 5 years ago. They also adapt technology more rapidly. Technology today is changing very rapidly, and technology is having more impact on our businesses than ever before. So this is not surprising that adopting technology is a key success factor. Finally, the most successful firm, you can put this here, improve their internal processes more rapidly than other firms. So innovation is more than a buzzword. Innovation really works. It's about improving our business, improving our processes, our products and services. We don't have to look for breakthrough innovation, incremental innovation. Step by step, small steps, really lead to more success. So do number one, innovation matters. The do number two is about reaching out outside the company for advice. And Scott gave us a great example in this presentation. Today, our business environment is more complex than ever. And you need, as an entrepreneur, to have more advice from outside. 34% of the most successful firms have a formal mechanism, like an advisory board, or an outside consultant to help them to think about the vision of their business. Advisory board is a great concept. The advisory board usually includes 2 or 3 people advising the owner of the business. It's not a board of directors. There's no legal obligation in the advisory board. It's simply 2 or 3 people, experienced entrepreneurs, who are sharing their experience, brainstorming with the business owner 3 or 4 times a year. And they talk about complex issues that the entrepreneur is facing. A great example of how to use an advisory board is this company from Kelowna in British Columbia. The International Yacht Training Worldwide. It's a complex name. What they do, they offer maritime certification in 47 different countries around the world. They have an advisory board. The advisory board includes 3 people. The first one is a formal Canadian admiral. The second one is a formal diplomat. And finally, the third one is an expert in marketing and branding. Mark Fry, the management director of the business, was telling us that the experience, the knowledge, and the networks of these 3 people cannot be matched by any single entrepreneur. And that's the idea about the advisory board, is to get advice from experienced entrepreneurs to help you to make better decisions. Number 3, do you have a plan? Do you know where you want to see your business in 5 years? The most successful firms have an answer to this question. 70% of them have a midterm plan. They have a plan for the next 5 years. They also have targets that they want to meet to be able to reach this plan. More, they have a matrix. They have 60% of them have matrix to be able to measure their progress against their plan. So they can readjust their strategies to make sure that they are able to meet their objectives. Maybe the more important point, they also share their plan with their employees. So the employees understand perfectly where the company is going. What is the vision of the company? Scott gave a very good example in his presentation that when they have decided to restructure, they also share their plan with their employees. Well, the most successful firm in Canada, that's what they do. Number 4, as you know, it's so true in Saskatchewan, it's more and more difficult to hire people. And with our aging population, unfortunately, this is not going to get better. In the next 10 years, it's going to be difficult to hire people. So how the most successful firms do it? Well, first, they are patient. I was surprised to see in our research that 60% of the most successful firms, they are ready to wait months to find the right person for key position. It's not about hiring some people. It's hiring the best person you can for the key position of your business. They also understand that it's not about compensation. Their competitive edge to attract and retain key employees is about everything else related to the business outside compensation. It's about the culture of the company. It's about the flexibility in the workplace. It's about giving them opportunity to grow inside the company. That's how the most successful firm attract and retain qualified employees. Finally, the number 5, that's probably the most surprising result of our study. Build strong relationship with your suppliers. If you open any textbook about managing a business, it's all about clients. And clients are very important, there's no doubt about this. But this research is also showing that suppliers are a key element of successful firms. The most successful firm, they talk to their clients regularly. They share their objectives. They even share their long-term plan. They share the vision of their business because they want their suppliers to be part of the growth of their business. So to be successful, you need to build a strong relationship with your suppliers. We also look in our report at the 5 don'ts. So the 5 do's, we interview almost 1,200 people, entrepreneurs across the country. The don't, the pitfalls that we should try to avoid, we didn't want to interview people because sometimes it's difficult to share experience about something we did wrong. So what we did, we looked to our own client. Like you know now, we have a Department of Special Accounts. So we look at more than 100 companies inside our department, and we look why these successful company has become into difficulties. Why are they facing difficulties now? A few weeks ago, I was in a conference like this, and before me, there was another speaker, and there was an entrepreneur who was actually telling the story of his business. And he explained that the first business he started, he had no idea about how to manage his financial. And he said one day, he got a phone call from his bank. And the bank said, we're going to transfer you to special account. The guy said, well, I was very happy because I thought I was a special client. Until he had his first meeting. So we look at special account, and actually the businesses that we look at, they're not necessarily small. Like in average, they had almost $8 million of revenue. They had 56 employees in average, and they have been in business for 24 years. So they're not startups. Like I said, these firms were successful, but for some reason, they ran into difficulties. So there's 5 pitfalls that we have identified that are common. The first question is, can you afford to lose your biggest client? This is a very important question because in our sample, 15%, 1 business on 6, are running into difficulties because they lost 1 single major client. As you know, when you start a small business, you often do it with very few clients. Very rapidly, you have more business with those clients and they become very important for you. But we should use this success to diversify our client base. Because if we don't, we put our business at risk. A good example that we have in our report is this group, the Mandela Group. It's a service company. They offer international trade strategies or international trade services. They help organizations to export outside the country. The owner was telling us that she started with only a few clients, very large government agencies. Very quickly, she got big contracts with them. And she said she wake up one day and she realized she had huge contracts with only a few clients. She realized she could be in trouble. She thought, if I lose one of these contracts, I will be in trouble. So they have decided to diversify their business. But of course, it's not always that easy. They have decided that they want to diversify, offering the similar services to small businesses, to help small and mid-sized firms to export outside the country. But their business model didn't fit that. They used to work with large organizations who paid right at the beginning very well. When you work with small business often they cannot afford to pay you in advance for expanding to China. So they change their business model and they work in partnership with their clients. They share the risk. But today, they have hundreds of clients. Most of them are small. They still have very large clients. But the owner was telling us a few months ago that she is very comfortable now because she can afford to lose her biggest client. The second question is actually it's two questions. Do you have cash flow problems? Or do you know your cost of goods sold? These are two good indicators of lack of financial management expertise inside your business. We met a lot of businesses who are very busy, sell a lot of products, a lot of services, but they don't make money. So when we look in more detail about this business, we realize that, for example, they sell too many products with very low profit margin. And they don't sell enough of those products with large profit margin. And sometimes they don't realize it. I saw files that people were selling services and they were losing money on each of them. Each contract, they were losing money. So they are very busy, sometimes too busy to realize what's going on. But they are moving to trouble. So the lack of financial management expertise inside the company can turn a successful business into difficulties. The good news is, as a business owner, you don't need to be an expert in financial management. The only thing you need is you need somebody inside your firm with this expertise. Or if you're too small, you need somebody outside your firm who's going to help you to understand these financial management and also to put together the tools you need to follow the situation. The third question that we come up with, actually the third don't is, can your business can continue to operate if one of these events happen? The loss of one of the key employee of your business, the sharp increase of the cost of your input, or the loss of a very large or very significant supplier for you. And finally, a natural disaster. A fire or a flood, for example. You will be surprised to learn that 30% of our sample, 30% of businesses who are in difficulties, they run into difficulties because one of these events happened. So these were successful firms, but because of one of these events happened and they didn't have a plan, they didn't have a plan B or a contingency plan. Well, they are in difficulties now. I was visiting a client a few weeks ago in New Brunswick, and these clients, they're selling a product to test the quality of water, and they're selling around the world, actually. Small business, 25 employees. When I visited the plant, they introduced me to this chemist. She's responsible to make the magic recipe, the recipe that actually they invented. That's why they are successful. And I asked the owner, what happened if this person leaves the company? There was one person making the magic recipe. And the owner said, that's a very good question, because 6 months ago, we realized that. We didn't realize that before. But we realized that this person could leave, or she can be sick, for example. So 6 months ago, they have put together a plan. So if this person leaves the company, they will be able to continue to operate. Each Canadian business should have a contingency plan. The plan has to be different for each business. But everybody should think about what is the most sensitive aspect of your business. And how are you going to operate if one of these unexpected events happen? You need to have a plan B just in case one of these events happen. Do you know where your market is going to be in 2 to 5 years? Today, our markets are changing very rapidly. Technology is changing the way consumers shop. For example, more and more consumers want to buy online. Our aging population is changing consumer behavior. For example, health awareness. As we're getting older, people are looking for more healthy products. And this is changing the way Canadians shop today. People want to buy also more locally made product. So consumer behaviors is always evolving. It's always changing our market. Too many successful firms fail to adapt to the new reality of their market. They fail to understand where the market is going, how your market is going to change in the next 5 years, and how you should adapt to this new reality. An example that we saw in our file, this company was producing a wood product for the housing market. Very successful company, selling its products across the country. But the competitor came up with a new product, new technology, and his product became much less successful. The issue of this company, he had actually two issues. The main issue was the fact that he was not able to sell his product as much as in the past. But the biggest issue was that he had a full warehouse, full of it. All his money was in this product that he has been successful with for many years. So this company failed to recognize that the market was changing. And he went into difficulties. He almost went bankrupt because of that. He was able to turn his business around, but that was very difficult. So even successful firms, they always have to look for how their market is going to change and how this is going to affect their business. Finally, the final one, the last one is very important. Probably the most important though. Don't wait too long before you get help. Our research is showing very clearly that businesses that ask for help soon in their process when they have difficulties, they have much greater chance to turn the situation around. Every successful firm experiences difficulties at one point. You lose a big customer, or you expand to a new market and it doesn't work the way you expected. You build a new facility and the cost is much higher than what you expected. Every successful business can experience difficulties. The key is to ask for advice at the beginning of your difficulties. Again, our research is very clear. If you ask for help at the beginning of your difficulties, you have a much better chance to turn around your business. Remember that you have business partners, your lawyer, your accountant, your banker can help you to give you great advice when you have difficulties. So when you have difficulties, talk to your business partner. They want your success almost as much as you do. So in conclusion, this report is about strategies that the most successful firms in Canada have in common. We have identified 5 of them. Also pitfalls that we should all try to avoid. These 2 conclusions that you can draw from this report. The first one is all about relationship. To be a successful entrepreneur, you need to build strong relationship with your suppliers. You need to engage your employee in your future plan. You also need to reach out outside your business to get advice from experts, from experienced entrepreneurs. So it's all about relationship. The second conclusion is, I'm sure you will agree with me, all these strategies are quite simple. Well, they're not very complex. Every Canadian business can apply them. And I'm sure a lot of you apply many of them, if it's not all of them. It's just a reminder of the basic, the fundamentals practice for having a successful business. But sometimes we get so busy that we forget the fundamentals. So that's why this research is useful, and I invite you to go on our website. The report also includes strategies explaining on how you can apply these strategies. So I hope this presentation will start a conversation in your business about how you can apply these strategies to be even more successful in the future. And if you want BDC to be part of the conversation, we'll be very happy to do so. Please give us a call. I think we have some time for questions. So if you have any question about the report or about the economy, because typically I talk more about the economy of the country and the world economy, I would be very happy to answer your question. Thank you.
Question cards on the table. So if you have a question, please write it out on the question card. The ambassadors, the people in the green jackets here, will pick them up. I didn't quite do my job right. I was supposed to mention that at the start, not at the end. So I apologize for that. But I do have questions because Pierre is one of my favorite economists. So, global economy is kind of shaking a little bit. Are you concerned?
Well, I'm actually quite still positive about the global economy. I know the global economy is not growing as rapidly as we expected, but there's 2 points where I'm still very optimistic. First, because the U.S. economy is really improving. And the reason why the U.S. economy is improving is because finally there's more Americans working now than before the recession. So they have recuperated all the job loss during the recession. Also, consumer debt level has really declined over the last 5 years. So the U.S. economy is much stronger. The second point is the fundamentals of the world economy is improving. So government debt is improving. Consumer debt in Europe, for example, in other countries is also declining. So although we have some bumpy road right now at the global level, I think the fundamentals are there and the world economy is going to grow. And we're going to experience a better economy in the next 3 years.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it. The Canadian economy.
Well, actually, the Canadian economy is growing this year. And it should actually be even better next year. And the main reason is our exports are doing much better, and mostly to the U.S. economy. Our exports in the first 6 months of the year has increased by 10%. And many regions across the country are benefiting from this. Ontario, Quebec, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, for example, the manufacturing sector export is really increasing. So our manufacturing sector is finally getting a break and it's really stimulating the economy. So economic growth this year is going to be better than last year, and we're expecting that this will continue next year, and that should be even better than this year.
Okay, I started to answer or ask you this question earlier because I'm quite concerned about it. The Ontario fiscal situation.
Ontario has been really hit by the recession. Ontario used to be a really strong manufacturing economy. But since the recession, the manufacturing sector has really struggled. The good news is that the manufacturing sector is finally improving because of the U.S. economy that is improving. However, the fiscal structure of Ontario was built in a time where the manufacturing sector was much stronger. So the government is going to have to adjust to that. Because although the Ontario economy is doing better and they are selling more to the U.S. than during the recession, unfortunately, we will not go back the way it was before the recession. The reason is our manufacturers, our exporters to the U.S. are facing much more competition now. So a great example is the automotive sector, which is a strong part of the Ontario economy. They are doing much better, but they are not selling as much as before the recession because Mexico has built a very strong manufacturing sector as well. So now our Canadian companies are facing a very strong competition in the U.S. market. So Ontario will have to readjust to this new reality.
Great. Two questions then, last two. For young people looking to select a career, what industries do you see hiring in-demand jobs and lots of opportunities in the next 5 to 10 years?
I would say if you're young, this is a great economy for you because we have an aging population in Canada. I give you an example. 20 years ago, when I graduated, for example, for each Canadian that was retiring, if there was 2 young Canadians entering the job market. For those of you who have my age, you probably remember that the unemployment rate in Canada 20 years ago was 12–13%. So it was a lot of young people entering the job market. Today, this ratio is 1:1. For each Canadian retiring today, there's only 1 Canadian entering the job market, and that's actually including immigration. So if you're young today, the sector won't matter. You will have job opportunities for the next 20 years. The negative thing is you're going to pay more taxes because we have an aging population, the cost of healthcare is going to increase, but that's another issue. But on the job market, you are going to be really fun.
Okay, last question. It seems that we have stopped talking about productivity. Is this still an issue?
It's an issue more important than ever. I tell you why. There's 2 ways to grow an economy. Is to have more employees and to increase our productivity. That's the 2 ways you can build wealth. Over the last 20 years in Canada, we have really done it with the number of people joining the labor force. So we have increased our labor force, and we have increased our economy, increased our wealth. Like I said, our labor force is barely flat now. It's not increasing. 20 years ago, the labor force was increasing by 4% every year. This year, we'll be happy if the labor force increased by 0.5%. So our economy in the next 10 years is not going to grow because of the labor force is increasing. Our only chance to grow our economy and to build more wealth is to increase our productivity. So in my mind, productivity is not only an issue of each of our business in terms of doing better, improving, being more competitive. We should increase our productivity. But productivity is actually a national issue. If we want to continue to increase our wealth in Canada, we have to increase our productivity while our aging population is limiting the growth of our labor force.
Great. With that, Pierre, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Always. Opportunity to thank the Business Development Bank of Canada for sponsoring today's event, including the trade show that is already started. So we'll do a draw right now from, what have we got, Ben? Gift certificate from Tatanka, right across the street from the Chamber of Commerce. Geez, I know this person really well. Heather Tatum, CTV. With that, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful, I'm going to say, Canadian Day, given the importance of being Canadian today. And hopefully you all will go through the trade show. It's free of charge. And check out all the booths that are there and maybe conduct a little bit of business. Thanks very much.
My wife's 2 years younger, so she probably recognizes me. She's come down a lot for a ball and stuff like that.
I've done range or that kind of stuff.